Welcome. Edition of Swishing Podcast, episode number 15. Can you believe it already? 15th week of doing this thing. Eddie here with Joe and Gene, the three-man weave, the triangle offense, as we call it. Late night edition, recording now live, or somewhat live, at 10:30 in the basement, on top of the bar as usual. Got Game of Thrones on TV, and looks like we'll do a little bit of that later on. Fun part of the show. We figured, we have personalities outside of sports. We could talk about plenty of other stuff. You see us tweet about other stuff. So why not do some other miscellaneous, fun social topics, be more kind of like a morning show type Boomer and Carton podcast for you, make it more fun. A couple of things to listen to. So week in, week out, we'll try to add a little spice to a little flavor here and there. Got a lot of talked about today. Got Stanley Cup wrap up, finals wrap up. The King has no crown, loses 4 games to 2 to Steph Curry and the Warriors. So we're going to a lot on that coming up. A-Rod going for 3,000th hit. And some NFL news, Des Bryant, that affects us, me and Gene, the Giant fans here. So it's going to be interesting to talk about. Anyway, like I said, three-man weave here. We got Joe and Gene sitting here. What's going on?
What's going on?
No, what's up? Just off the train from work from
Gene, the fat cat, leaving Bank of America to come here and do a podcast in the basement. He's going from the rich life to the
hardest
poor life.
working man in the industry.
Yeah, you're like Boomer.
Just came back from Indian food, so I gotta end working all day. So apologizing now. Full sleep or just crap my pants at the bar right now.
That's what we want. That's what makes it interesting. So what should we start? Should we start with LeBron?
Yeah, we're absolutely going to start with LeBron. I like the whole king without the crown line. I thought that was really creative.
That's why I do this show. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it's a series that a lot of things to talk about. I mean, we know going in, Kevin Love, lose him in the Boston series. Kyrie Irving hurt himself in Game 1. Actually, if LeBron hits that shot before overtime, Kyrie Irving is healthy and doesn't miss time. And I think right off the bat, I mean, I'll just go down, bullet point by bullet point in my head. If you add those players in, I think Cavs win the series. I know I picked the Cavs in 5. I think so too. And I picked the Cavs in 5 here, and I'm usually never wrong, except about the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals and a bunch of other things. But no, I think that. You saw how much LeBron, the effort he put into it, and say what you will. I mean, I make fun of him for having the A-Rod disease, I call it, off the court. But on the court, he's the best. And he said he was the best, and people, again, bash him for those comments, but he's allowed to say it. If you saw what he did, it was unbelievable. If you have Love, you have Irving, they win the series, no problem. If they had Irving, even without Love, I still think the series is definitely going 7. I remember Game 1, LeBron and Shumpert both missed shots that could have won it for them. They could have been up 3 games to none. The series would have been way different. Instead, they don't score. They only score 1 basket, I believe, in the overtime of Game 1. Lose that, win Games 2 and Games 3, and then the Warriors obviously take 3 in a row. So the tides changed, the series shifted. But there was a point where you thought the Cavs could really lose on all when the team was literally all on LeBron's back, him doing it himself, and. I don't even know where to start with this. We can talk about, yes, we have to get to the Warriors having a fantastic season. 3rd most wins in NBA history. I believe they had 83, which is only behind the 95-96 Bulls with 87, and then the 96-97 Bulls had 84 wins. So those Jordan, Pippen, Robin teams, all teams with more wins than the Warriors. So, congrats to Steve Kerr, rookie coach, could have been the Knicks coach. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, everyone on that team, Andre Iguodala, who's the Finals MVP. Winning that. So before we break down the stuff that I think is interesting, what are your thoughts, both of you guys, on the finals in general before we, like I said, go down to all the kind of controversial issues that I have that we could start debating on?
First of all, Steve Kerr also on both of those Bulls teams that won those games.
Sorry, Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc, Luke Longley,
he has been a core part. He's been a core part of the 3 teams in some capacity.
No one else on that? Phil Jackson. There you go.
That is.
Let's start with him.
Okay. Anyway, congrats on Steve Kerr. What an accomplishment. First time in, 50 years that we had 2 rookie head coaches in the NBA Finals.
Quick point,
and we will get to that.
David Blatt
right.
would have had a ring either way. You know why? David Blatt was supposed to be on Steve Kerr's coaching staff.
That is correct.
Boom.
See, this is why we do what we do. You're good. You beat me to it. But, yeah. Congrats.
I should. I do work for the NBA. But
congrats, Steve Kerr. Really phenomenal series. I feel like Warriors in 6 was basically what the majority was going with.
I believe you said that too.
Yeah.
And Joe Carlin a couple weeks ago we did that here. Yeah, a lot of people
as the series,
had Warriors in 6.5, 6 or 7, 6.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of wanted a Game 7 as the series was going along.
Well, everyone did, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I watched LeBron. What was his scoring average in the final?
38, I believe. LeBron averaged 30, 13, and 8.
I don't want to hear anybody ever complain about
It's the
him
most.
ever
It's
again.
the only time in the history of the NBA Finals that a player averaged the most points per game, the most rebounds per game, the most assists per game. It's a fact.
Oh my God! On the losing team.
On the losing
on
team.
the losing team. See, that was my biggest gripe. It was a really good series. It was a series that everybody expected. A lot of people picked the Warriors in 6 at the beginning, and the Cavaliers were really undermanned. So if you take that into account, the series probably does go 7 games because I don't foresee a situation where with the healthy Kyrie and Kevin, where the Cleveland Cavaliers lose 2 games at home in the finals. They lost 2 of their 3 games. So going with that, I had a problem with LeBron not winning the Finals MVP.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Oh.
I'll excited for them. That's one of my 3 things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Finals MVP.
All right, so cut me off.
Yeah, no, we'll get to that.
You've been cut off. No, you know, I'm gonna quick first. I think Warriors are probably the best among the best teams I've ever watched. I'd say up there, probably the best because I actually did this at work today. I don't actually work at my job. I just kind of look through NBA crap on Wikipedia. So I think best teams I've seen probably. Each of the last 3 years, I think I saw one. I think this year's Warriors, last year's Spurs, who just played with a vengeance. They had 62 wins. Would have had a lot more if they actually played people in certain games. They went through plenty of. They were so deep they can go through games without Duncan or Ginobili. Heat the year before that in 2013, they had 20-something game winning streak. LeBron was just crazy. Fun fact, another one. I'm just throwing them in there for fun. Lakers in 2001. 16-1 in the playoffs. They swept the first 3 rounds, lost 1 game to Allen Iverson. So I think those are probably the best teams.
That's the famous Allen Iverson stepping over the Tyronn Lue series.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I think, yes, I think those are probably the best. Warriors I would probably put in the top 5 teams I've ever seen. Anyway, I think LeBron had the absolute best performance I think I've ever seen an athlete have ever.
Sure, without a doubt. I've never seen somebody dominate the more like he did. I want to get into that.
On a loser, even win or lose, I think it was just the best performance.
The only player to win the Finals MVP on the losing team was the first year of the war was Jerry West back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I think that LeBron
deserved it.
He definitely deserved it. And if anyone I've ever seen play a sport and just be the catalyst, there's so much going on. Not many sports a guy could take it over. NFL, 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. We could do whatever you want on the opposite side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. But the fact of the matter is you're not playing the other half. NHL, again, you're shifting out. You're having a minute shift and the guys come on. There's 4 lines, defenseman 3 lines. Maybe a goalie, maybe a pitcher. But again, the pitcher, same thing. He's not at bat unless you're, in the NL. It's really, really hard to do what LeBron does because he is the guy. He's on the focal point of everything, offensive and defensive side of the ball. No other sport you can really do that. So I think what he did, it was just unbelievable. Giving Andre Iguodala, a guy, you can see the same, people saying the same rhetoric about him. He didn't start. He's been, been an all-star, been a gold medalist. He didn't start for them this whole year on the bench. They, Kerr switches over to use Iguodala to go the small lineup, and it works out. It pays off for him. He wins the MVP. The fact of the matter is, nobody in the Warriors really deserve that award. Nobody stood out. Steph Curry didn't deserve it. He didn't step out. In the NFL, it's like you win. No one sticks out in the Super Bowl. They give the Super Bowl MVP to the quarterback because he's the quarterback. You could do the same thing, the star treatment to Steph Curry. I don't think that Steph Curry deserved it. As good as he has been this whole season, as good as everything he does, as likable as he is, he didn't deserve the MVP. Andre Iguodala. I mean, when you look back at the Finals MVP award, you talk about stuff you want to Google and Wikipedia. Go look at the list of MVP winners, of Finals MVP winners. They're
all-time greats.
All-time greats.
It's not like the NFL where every once in a while you get who's
quarterback from
on the Packers.
Dexter Jackson is one of them.
Dexter Jackson. Wasn't Randall? Not Randall. He was way before Randall Cobb. Desmond Howard went on the Packers. Yeah.
So you have the guys who have big games, and I get the Super Bowl is different because it's one game versus series. Right. But it's the who's who of the NBA players, all-time greats. Whereas the past 2 years in a row, we've had Kawhi Leonard and now Andre Iguodala. No offense to Kawhi. Kawhi's a great offensive, defensive player. He's a better player right now in the stage of career than Andre Iguodala.
It's been going to that role player who makes the difference.
Right. And again, credit to Kawhi Leonard did defend LeBron last year too and did a better job against LeBron than Andre Iguodala did. People were like, oh, we'll give him credit. He slowed him down. I don't think that Iguodala did anything to LeBron James. He almost averaged a triple-double. He's putting up Oscar Robertson numbers. Maybe if LeBron took it to 7, I think definitely if LeBron took it to 7,
It's gotta.
he's winning that award because the voter breakdown, the 11 people had the votes for Finals MVP. 7 went to Iguodala, 4 went to LeBron, 0 to Curry, which is another thing aspect of that we want to talk about. Curry not receiving an award, I think it's kind of strange.
Well, you know what? I think so. When LeBron said, and then the thing we should get into later is all the A-Rod disease to the max this series, all this crap LeBron has said. One thing he said that I want to get into right now is he said, "Well, I'm the best player in the world," and I found that direct shot at Curry. There's always reports out that when LeBron doesn't win the MVP, it sticks to him.
Well, that was his
bothered him with Rose.
His secret motivation was not finishing in the top, not finishing 1 in the MVP winning this year.
This year, yeah. So it was a shot at Curry.
His secret motivation.
Curry didn't respond.
I don't think Stephen Curry has a right to be upset about that. LeBron James is head and shoulders above him. I don't think Stephen Curry is even the second best player in the NBA.
Well, it's right. I agree with that too. But
I'm not sure it takes Steph Curry in the top 5 right now. Maybe 4 or 5.
I'm just saying, he was the MVP. So technically, if you look at that, he was the best player this year. LeBron says, "No, I am." And so, you would expect, all right, he was the MVP. He's going to respond and have a big game. He really didn't. He kind of didn't really have, he kind of had, I think, what was it, game 5? He went bucket for bucket with LeBron for 35.
Right. The thing was, Steph Curry was the Cavs did everything they could to stop Curry. They game planned to stop him.
He really did not dominate.
He was trapped. He had Dellavedova in his pocket a lot of the games. He had struggled to move. The difference between Curry and LeBron is that LeBron is 6'8", 270 pounds. Curry's 6'2", 6'3", whatever he is, $180. He's not going to be able to move and gather space that he wants like LeBron can. He's just a different physical guy. LeBron's a specimen. Steph Curry is just a guy with insane handles and can shoot the lights out. They're different kind of players. So when you have a defensive game plan focused on Curry, and it was what it was too. Andre Iguodala won the MVP because it was the game plan was, okay, we're going to focus on Curry. Andre Iguodala, you could beat us if you can, and Andre Iguodala hit the open shots. How did he hit the open shots? Because he had guys on Curry. So that being said, I'm not going to blame Curry for not having a great finals because that was their game plan, was take away Curry, take away what he does best. Don't let him beat you. Right. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. But yes, he did not. He rarely went bucket for bucket with LeBron. He didn't have games where he was taking it over, and it was a very team effort to the max. And we can segue into this is that I was very underwhelmed by the Warriors. Everyone's saying how great this team is. You have the third best record, third most wins in NBA history, and you struggle to beat a team with literally, Knicks rejects and just the one great player, of our generation. So I don't get how, I wasn't really happy with this NBA Finals. It looked like one team who was dying of fatigue and had so many injuries.
They ran out of gas.
And you had a team that, on the other side with the Warriors who came with a spectacular regular season record, but didn't really carry it over. They didn't play any elite point guards in the playoffs. The Grizzlies did the same exact thing that the Cavs did in the beginning on. In the beginning of the series, you thought the Grizzlies had a shot because of how they played against them. They were a tough physical team. They hit them in the mouth. They weren't ready for that. They couldn't shoot the ball, and you had a series there. They didn't play the Spurs. They didn't get a chance to play the Clippers. They played the Rockets. They played the Pelicans, and they played in the middle round. They played the Grizzlies. So the West, they didn't really go through the gauntlet in the West. They had an easy time with the Rockets. The same thing with the Pelicans too. The team was not ready. There was no real test to me, and I'm not trying to poo-poo them. I hate poo-pooing wins. I hate taking away from teams. I mean, the one win I could probably say that I just don't agree with ever is the Super Bowl. The Seahawks past Super Bowl, but besides that, you have to win a series. I'm not taking away from that, but it was not a true test. Not saying the Cavs were tested either. They played the Celtics, for God's sake, in the first round. But playing with a guy like Matthew Dellavedova, who's an Australian rugby player, J.R. Smith, who's heads in the clouds. That guy's still a joke, and I love him as a Knicks fan. He gave us some of the funniest moments I've seen in sports. Amon Shumpert, who's just not a very good offensive player by any stretch. The second best player.
Game 6 was just can only be described as Knicks basketball. It was just Shumpert and JR driving the lane, making turnovers, dropping passes. It's not the NFL. Those
terrible.
Passes.
It's terrible.
Oh my God.
The second best offensive player, and he couldn't even play that much because of of going big or going small, was Timothy Mozgov, another guy who's been the Knicks, who that Donnie Walsh wanted and who was sent out of here by, thank you, James Dolan. Another bad move by the Knicks, but that's for another day. that's what it came down to. It was LeBron alone, couldn't even play Mozgov once the Warriors went small, so there was no other options. It was a very, very boring series in that sense, where you see our team, a sluggish team, a team dying out, and you had to play this Warriors team who didn't really click, didn't really fire on all cylinders, didn't really impress me whatsoever. And then you look back and you think, okay, yeah, they won whatever 60+ games in the regular season. They won 20 games in the postseason, and then they go, they struggle through the NBA Finals versus a team. It was a one-man team. It really was. And LeBron did everything he could. And again, that's the reason why I'll not crush him for what he says, because I don't know. I mean, he's going to be scrutinized either way, but I give him all the credit in the world for what he did on the court. But this series, to me, and I know the ratings from ABC, is the highest rated ABC ESPN Finals ever, and they've had it since 02, 03, I think. It was in like 40 million households in San
Well, the
Antonio.
story was there. It was LeBron winning a ring for Cleveland.
Best team versus best player. I get that. But I mean, ratings wise, yes, it dominated. It was an awesome rated series. Everyone watched it. Plenty of storylines.
Started off really hot, 2 overtime games.
Sure, and it was very fun to cover. I was very lucky to be a part of it, covering it for my job at Sirius. But it was just a very the quality of basketball team was not good. I was not wowed at all by the Warriors. I was not. The only thing I was really wowed by was LeBron. How LeBron played. There was nothing in that series basketball-wise. It was not an equal series. It wasn't an even series. It was one man's willpower, literally doing all he could to get them within games. And he won 2 of them and could have won a third. And I give him all the credit. Like I said, you disagree with what he said, but he's the best player in the world. You disagree with him saying that. Some of the me comments, but in reality, it's what it was. He took a bunch of rejects and brought them to the highest level of professional basketball, and I think that deserves some kudos and credit. And he needs lessons on what to say to the media, but at the same time, he speaks in the truth. And I think him saying he's the best player in the world is him speaking his heart. And I don't have a problem with that. I'd rather see a guy be brutally honest than give me some, generic, very boring, monotonous, just crap garbage that I don't want to write in a paper.
Right. So you kind of get from actually. So I said you can actually add a little asterisk to that Warriors thing I said before. Like definitely one of the best regular season teams. I kind of agree. They really did impress me in the playoffs. But one thing I want to hit on with the Warriors is Steve Kerr said this. Like he said, he kind of modeled the Warriors after Mike D'Antoni, who was also driven out of here by James Dolan and Carmelo Anthony.
Right. So Carmelo couldn't play in his offense.
Right. Yeah. Well. You brought in a guy who can't play in your coach's offense. Well, I mean, I get it, but whatever. So, I actually want to point this out. Just one quick thing before I turn it back over to Joe. I think the comparison, this is one that doesn't get made a lot, but I think it's really, spot on, of Steph Curry and Steve Nash. Both shot the lights out. Nash is more pass first, but the skill sets are really similar. I mean, neither of them's, super athletic guys, could shoot the lights out.
Good handle.
Great handles. Steve Nash was a Canadian soccer player, so he looked pass first. That's how you play in soccer. Curry was brought up in Davidson playing basketball, where he was the only guy who knows how to play basketball at all, and then just had to shoot every play. So came up differently, but really similar players. So Joe, what do you got to say about this?
Everything that I've wanted to have said has been already said. So I feel kind of left out over here right now.
And on the podcast, thank you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm eating pretzels over here, honey wheat pretzels and peanut butter pretzels, because I'm too entertained by what you two are talking about.
So then go back and forth with me. What do you disagree with? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with?
I agree with everything.
So you agree that
I disagree with nothing.
So you agree with boring basketball. It was a boring series despite the ratings.
From Cleveland's perspective, I got tongue tied over that, was boring. You could totally tell that they were really, really, really struggling to find anything. And even when they made a good play, sometimes they weren't rewarded. They were terrible bounces. It was a combination of running out of gas and just a combination of not having enough. And in that sense, yes, absolutely, it was boring basketball. But at the same time, you knew everybody out there was trying as hard as they could have possibly have tried.
It's not Little League. There's no trophies for effort, though.
No, absolutely, there's no trophies for effort. I will say this:
Finals MVP, because that goes to the guy who just tried the hardest in the Warriors.
Yeah, it
went to the guy who was stuck guarding LeBron, who had to go to the match.
Yeah, that's how I feel like the MVP went. It said
we're
going to give it to the guy who was on the court, when LeBron was on the court the most.
Yeah, they didn't want to embarrass Klay Thompson, so they put Andre Iguodala on him, who's a little bit more athletic, I think, a little bit lankier.
Speaking of Klay Thompson, quick tangent, he had a terrible series.
He had a very bad series.
The only game he played well in was game 2. He was bad in games 1 and then 3 through 6. It was really, really bad.
He wasn't there. The Cavs did all they can to stop their stars, mostly Curry. Shumpert played, LeBron played a little bit on him too, but mostly Shumpert on Klay Thompson. He's a good defensive player, don't get me wrong. Offensively, he's, atrocious. But LeBron, a little bit on him as well. And it showed, and they did all they can to stop the stars. It's just unfortunate the team is a very, very deep team. And you could say the way the teams are constructed, it's another good topic
it's an 11 deep team.
Very, very deep. And they, rotating in David Lee later on.
I could give you their rotation now.
Putting it, but their backup options are, okay, so let's do this. The best player of the series is who? LeBron James. The next probably 6-7 players are who? All in the Golden State team.
100%.
Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Harrison Barnes. I think Andrew Bogut is a great player who didn't even play that much at the second half of the series because they went small. Who's the next best player on that would rank in the top 10? Maybe Mozgov, maybe Tristan Thompson, who's now going to be paid very, very handsomely. Very handsomely for his offensive rebounding skills are unbelievable.
I think they're going to get rid of Love and then they're going to resign Thompson.
Love's not going anywhere.
That would be just. If can Tristan Thompson hit a shot from more than 3 feet away?
No.
Can he? No, he can't. He can't even hit a shot from a foot away. I've seen him miss alley-oops.
Kevin Love hasn't fit with that team the entire year. Tristan Thompson has been way more valuable.
He's better defensively. He can rebound the same.
Right.
Does he have
Kevin
the range?
Love looked like a lost puppy out there.
He's not the range of Love. Love's offensive game is light years ahead of Thompson's, but Thompson's very good at what he does. And like what Gene said, he's very good within 5 feet of the rim.
Not even. He missed an alley. I've seen him miss like 3 alley-oops in this series.
But the last
wide open layups.
The last one wasn't his fault. He had a bad pass.
Well, then again,
Kevin Love's the 3-point shooting champion.
Having Timothy Mozgov he's an offensive threat, and having Tristan Thompson as your 4-5 matchup is pretty good. Having LeBron play the 3, and then having next year going in with whoever's the 2 with Kyrie Irving as your 1. There's a reason why they're the favorite to win. The Vegas has
right now they are the Vegas favorites to win next year,
with the Warriors,
which I think is correct with the healthy Kyrie.
Oh, sure, they're a better team.
Those superstar teams always take like a year or 2 to gel, like Heat in their first year.
Yeah, he lost the Mavericks in year 1.
The Celtics went through, because there's another thing I was looking at while I was Googling just NBA championship teams. Celtics went through like the hardest road to win a finals in 2008. They went to they could not win a game on the road to save their life. They just won every game at home.
Yeah, well, the first series against the Hawks went 7 games, and everybody thought like. Not that the Hawks were going to win, but it was like, like the Celtics, number 1 seed in the East, 60-plus wins, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, they shouldn't be in this position.
And then the same thing happened again the next series with the Cavs, and I think they finally beat the Pistons in game 6 on the road.
Whew. Well, so back to this series again. There's so many angles for this. Another thing coming out today was the whole LeBron-Blatt relationship. Back when he went to Miami, the whole thing with him and Spoelstra started up too was that he doesn't get along with Coach Spo. He's the puppet of Spoelstra for Riley. LeBron doesn't respect Spoelstra, and then look what happens. He goes and wins 2 rings, and everything seems okay between him and Spoelstra. As even in year 4, it looked like they were finally on good terms. And Blatt's another guy who comes in from Israel, not really known in NBA circles. Not by the players though. I guess LeBron had this kind of no respect for him. No, he wasn't one of LeBron's guys. Doesn't know who LeBron was. So then today comes out Mark Stanley from ESPN wrote that LeBron kind of likes having. Oh no, sorry. Brian Windhorst said this that he likes having Blatt around to push him around. Stein wrote that in huddles he would only listen to what Tyronn Lue said. He wouldn't face Blatt. He would tell Blatt's substitutions this and that are wrong. He'd yell at him. I'm not really surprised with this. On the flip side, coaching the best player in the league and one of the best players potentially of all time is a very, very, very hard thing to do because you're not going to want to be a bigger personality than him. You're not going to want to deny what your best player wants. If Blatt, and Blatt came out and said all the right things. He said coaching LeBron's exhilarating and invigorating and all this and that. That's great. You can't really say anything else. Coaching a player of LeBron's status, like I said, it has to be one of the toughest things to do because you can't overpower them. You can't boss them around. You have to let them do what they want to do. And watching LeBron did in the series is amazing. And what he did was show that he can do things by himself, that he brought this team within a game of winning the NBA title with a load of crap on the roster. Anyone that makes fun of Phil Jackson saying, "Oh, you only got Frank Isola, my buddy," they got a 2019 second-round pick in cap space. Well, that looks way more valuable right now than whatever the J.R. Smith and Nemanja number did for the Cavs. And if you like you said right off when we started this topic, if they had Love and Kyrie Irving, they win that series. I think no question.
Absolutely,
no question.
Running away,
especially with how bad the Warriors played. So they're winning that. So to see this whole LeBron and Blat stuff come out now, and I'm sure you'll get the series is over. They're all frustrated, this and that. I'm not sure if it's mostly frustrations. I'm not sure actually in the story if it was documented from weeks ago. I have to look back. I don't know. I could be wrong. But if it's all recent stuff from the playoffs and LeBron telling you, no, I don't want the substitution, this and that, give him the keys to the car. Let him do whatever he wants.
On that team, you have to. Because there's no coaching you can do that can turn Matthew Dellavedova into a guy who can compete with Stephen Curry.
Exactly.
Another thing with it, I think, it's the Tel Aviv-Israel thing. As you said, LeBron, he would only listen to Tyronn Lue. Players respect veterans. And when you bring a guy in who's like, oh, he's great, he's done this overseas.
Not in your circle, you don't know who he is, you're not going to listen to him.
100%. And especially when you're coaching star players like that. I think D'Antoni got his start in Italy or something like that. Yes. Or someone and he started out, came to the Suns, pretty much a no-name team. Young guys like Amare, hungry to do well.
LeBron. There's no
comparison, right? But I mean, when you're bringing in real veterans who've done it and played well, even LeBron, even Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, all stars before Blatt coming in, they want to listen to veterans. They want to listen to guys who've done it. And that's why you keep seeing Byron Scott get jobs.
Right.
When he's done nothing.
Right.
But guys respect him because he won a few rings for the Lakers.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, who was LeBron's coach? It was Mike Brown, right? When he first
got Mike
Brown. Mike Brown was there when he first got, and was Paul Silas there too? Was he first got there? It was Silas and LeBron and Mike Brown.
Well, Silas was the very, very first guy.
He was the first coach LeBron had, right?
Right.
And then they brought in Mike Brown, who was considered a LeBron guy.
Right.
The guy too who got other chances. He only really did nothing besides ride LeBron's coattails in the league. So I don't know. I wouldn't make a change. I would not fire Blatt. I think it's absurd to fire a coach who was a game away from winning an NBA title. LeBron has to just. I'm not saying it's okay for Blatt to be pushed around. I'm not saying that it's something that NBA team should follow. I mean, Greg Popovich wouldn't allow that to happen. The reason why the Spurs work is because Tim Duncan's a superstar, a Hall of Famer, a top 10 player of all time, who can say in his head, this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm going to respect him, and we're going to work together. And you know what? They've won 5 rings since.
He's the most selfless player of all time. He's the most nose the grindstone team guy.
So people have different mindsets. LeBron is a guy who's not publicly aggressive, not a public villain, but I guess behind the scenes he's more aggressive than people let on. And you know what? He's the captain, the de facto captain of the Cavaliers. He's the de facto GM of the Cavaliers. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's the owner too, because the guy brings in so much money. He calls the shots. He okayed the Kevin Love, the Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love trade. He okayed the Timothy Mozgov and the J.R. Smith and Monchumper trade too, and he brought those guys in. You know what? They were the best team in the NBA since the new year. And that's the fact. They were the best regular season team in the New Year record-wise. Everything was worked together, and LeBron got them to within a game of winning the NBA title.
The Cavs were so bad at the turn of the year that you bet Andrew Crawford $100 that they would not make the Eastern Conference Finals.
Pre-trades. Those trades, there was no better trade. There was no better mid-season moves in those trades.
Than getting the Knicks rejects?
Yeah, than getting the Knicks rejects and getting Mozgov. There was no trade that helped turn the team around more.
As the 4th, 5th, and 6th options of the team, great players.
Yeah.
As the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th options, terrible.
No.
Awful.
Yeah, right. But as I'm not saying to rely on them, but to add pieces to a team that what they need was perfect, they needed that. And LeBron, his name was all over those moves. And I'm not sure if John Calipari was named the coach. There's rumors that he was going to go for a mega deal to the Cavs. I'm not sure if Calipari they'd clash.
They would clash.
So does David Blatt have to know his role and shut his mouth, be a timid guy, future brony, and does he have to shut up and be quiet and sit down, let LeBron call the shots, and just be head coach in name and in title? I think unfortunately you do. You're coaching a potential greatest player of all time. I don't know how Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan worked. I think a lot of stories said they didn't really get along, but they had a mutual understanding. I think if LeBron and Blatt find this mutual understanding, they have this, saying that, I'm good enough to lead you to a title again. Give me a healthy Kyrie, give me a healthy Love. We're going to get there. Just stand back, let me do the work. And I think David Blatt is smart enough, because he's a good coach, For a guy that had to deal with the crap that he had to do for this series, he's a good coach.
No, of course he's a good coach.
He's a good coach. To figure out what he got to do, to figure out going big, to go small.
According to Stephen A., anything good that happens, like, there was that stupid video. It's like, no, I think we could throw out LeBron being the coach of the Cavs because he would not make that call. So anything good that happens, LeBron
That's the thing.
called. Anything bad that happens,
was
Blatt's decision.
Yeah, that was a big part of the series. There's a lot of added stuff, and that made the series more fun than it really was. That's going back to the other point. The whole basketball, the level of play. And what we watched on the court was not great. It was not an all-time great series. Some people thought it was spectacular. Yeah, it's good that another NBA team won that's not named the Heat or the Spurs, or we've seen Lakers, Celtics.
Good stat. Only 8 teams in the last 30-something years have won an NBA championship.
Yeah, that's very boring.
It's very, very boring. And the NBA probably has the biggest parity problem the most.
Oh, for sure.
Well, NBA, think about it like this. You don't get many scoring chances in hockey. So it's one of those things that in a big volume, it averages out to what it really is. So in NBA, you get so many scoring chances, so many games, everything's 7-game series. Everything evens out to best team winning. Hockey, you could only get a few shots, 2 goals wins it, something like that. So you see, that's why hockey, you see things like, random teams come in and just win titles. Same thing with football, because football's 1-game elimination, any given Sunday.
Well, yeah, but that's my point. Is that it's better to have a fresh team as won in 40 plus years.
Right.
Having the Warriors there is good, and even having the Cavs back is good too. I mean, Cleveland, that team's in a championship drought, and that would have been fun to see. Either team winning would have been fun to see. And it sounded like this whole segment's to not really give the Warriors credit. And again, all the credit in the world to them. Great team, great coach, great players. They're going to be around for a while. They're going to compete in the West. Steph Curry is a really good face to build around. Everyone loves him. He's a new face of the NBA.
They're the Seahawks of the NBA.
I wouldn't go that far because no one really likes the Seahawks anymore. They have a lot of strong personalities. Steph Curry is pretty well liked. His whole family is pretty. Del Curry is well liked. His Riley Curry is a star.
Steph Curry is Russell Wilson.
Basically.
Oh well, yeah, he's yeah.
If we're making that comparison, it's like apples to bananas. Not even apples to oranges.
They're all they Jesus rents.
But there's no Pete Carroll or Richard Sherman or the outspoken guy.
There's no cult leader leading them. However, I will say that I thought it was interesting when they interviewed Andre Iguodala after the finals were over. He basically said that the entire team, and he didn't leave out anybody. He didn't say, "Oh, we go," and he doesn't, or our coach doesn't. They all go to church before, and I mean,
wasn't that the problem with Mark Jackson though? That Mark Jackson forced the whole church stuff on them. The players didn't like it, and
it's a real question. How pissed is Mark Jackson right now?
And how awkward is it to watch him do games for ESPN and ABC? And
I don't think he's really
it's pretty awkward. They should have had someone else do it.
I would argue that he's probably upset.
Yeah, that's their business.
I don't think he's mad because he understands the business, but I'm sure he's upset. But when you look back at it, he was
not the players, the ownership. Players you probably have good relationships with.
No, absolutely.
The players were so in love with the idea of Mark Jackson as a coach when they hired Steve Kerr. The only player who never liked Mark Jackson was Andrew Bogut, and having I know for a fact that Steve Kerr reached out and called each player individually when he was coaching. He called Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and they went down stuff and went over stuff. That's a fact when he was coaching. The players really like Mark Jackson, everyone but Andrew Bogut. So I think his relationship with the players is probably great.
No, absolutely.
His relationship with the ownership,
not so good, which is why he wasn't the head coach.
Right.
I think a lot of what the Warriors did this season, foundationally, the defensive principles that Jackson left there were probably really overlooked.
The foundation.
Because
he also had 30 less wins than Steve Kerr did in one season. I mean,
I know, but in his 3
games.
seasons, he won 47 games, and then he won 50 twice. Went to the second round the first season where they made the big jump, and then he lost in the first round to the Clippers in a 7-game series, which, I mean, there's no shame in losing to a good team like the Clippers, which they were. We saw the Clippers beat the Spurs this year. They were just as good, but they're still missing, I guess, that little oomph to get them over the top, whether it's depth-wise, which I think it is. But yeah, there's nothing that Mark Jackson really did wrong. And I do try to sympathize with him in the fact that it must be really, really hard to watch a team go from being really, really good and then not they surpassed great. I mean, I call a spade a spade. I think they're one of the 10 best teams in NBA history. By every single advanced statistic, They were so versatile. They had a lineup answer for everything. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they're probably not going to end up with a top 25, 30 player in history when it's all said and done. But they're the most well-built 1 to 12 team probably in the history of the NBA.
Yeah,
their 11th guy is Maurice Spates.
But there's a lot of teams.
Their 11th guy is Maurice Spates, who would be the 7th best guy on another contending team.
There's a lot of teams that had like 3-4 Hall of Famers on one team. Yeah. This team
has
one, possibly two, if Klay Thompson how his career goes forward.
Well, I think Curry's going to probably
Curry will be a Hall of Famer. Curry will be a Hall of Famer.
I think this team's going to be remembered for having a lot of really, really good and versatile players.
I think Steve Kerr will be a Hall of Fame coach.
Right, I agree with
I think he's a very, very good future ahead of him as a coach.
Oh, no, absolutely.
For doing his rookie season.
He's going to win 55 games every year.
Did they take into, when they look at a Hall of Fame for coaching, did they take into account like front office stuff like that? Because he did a good job with the Suns.
Yeah, the Suns, yeah,
really
right. He did a good, Steve Kerr's a really smart guy, and he's good at what he does. He was a good announcer. He was good on our Sirius XM radio. He was good at everything.
Right, he's one of the most likable NBA personalities, not like of this era in history, ever. Do you I don't think anybody has ever said a bad thing about Steve Kerr.
Right,
and I think every time Steve Kerr's name has come up in the media, it's been associated with this really, really upbeat, happy, great story.
Right. Everybody great stories.
All everybody wants to do is talk about how great Steve Kerr is.
Yeah, and he's a pretty damn good shooter too for the Bulls.
No, absolutely he did. Yeah. This is why he's
No, Kerr is great, and I'm glad we're giving the Warriors some props. They do deserve it. And you said top 10 team of all time. The one thing I wish they did was kind of like we said about the Lakers before. I wish they just ran right to the playoffs. I wish they literally just sweep, 5 games, and then made mincemeat of the Cavs without Kyrie and without Love, even with LeBron. And maybe we could. I would say if they struggle with LeBron, we could attribute to the greatness of LeBron. But the problem is they struggled throughout the playoffs, though.
Pretty much, yeah.
So that they never looked lights out. They never looked like they're a dominant team.
They looked pretty good against the Rockets, but the Rockets were a poor man's Cavs. They were James Harden.
A lot of people didn't pick the Rockets to make the playoffs going into the season. I thought they were a pretty weak team, and out of the playoffs,
I thought the Clippers should have beat them. They were there by the grace of the Clippers not knowing what to do.
After seeing how they play versus the Grizzlies, say in the Western Conference Finals, they had to play the Clippers or the Spurs. How confident would you even be in the Warriors?
I think they would have beaten the Spurs. I don't know about the Clippers. I feel like the Clippers would have been a tough matchup. I mean,
there was a time
with the problem right there because they're a top 10 team of all time. You're beating everyone in 4 or 5. Fact. It's fact.
I don't know. I don't know necessarily.
There was a time when the Clippers were the Vegas favorite to win the championship.
Right.
They took over for the Warriors, because they looked that good. There were times the Clippers looked that good against the Rockets. They beat the Spurs, and the Warriors really were not impressing anyone, like we said.
That's my thing. I want to see you dominate teams. Going by numbers on paper, were they the top 10 team of all time? I mean, they were number 3.
I think regular season they were definitely one of the best teams I've ever seen. I think playoffs definitely kind of put a chip in that a little bit. But, in the end, people won't remember that they didn't dominate the playoffs because they won a ring. In the end.
Right. Yeah, we can't poop with that. So there's some fun then before we end with this NBA stuff. Start with the Cavs first. Is David Love the coach next year?
I say yes.
Yeah, he's got to be.
I think so, too. Are the Cavs going to be in the NBA Finals again next year?
I say yes.
I think East is so weak, they could get worse and still make the NBA Finals again. They could lose Love.
I could totally see everything bouncing the right way next year. Kyrie doesn't get hurt. Maybe they do return Love. Maybe they end up signing Love and Tristan Thompson. Who knows? I feel like with 1 year of seasoning, they caught a Bulls team that was really good, but obviously not in their class. They caught an Atlanta Hawks team that was really good during the regular season. Got really badly hurt in the playoffs. And everybody knew the Hawks were kind of not a pretender, but knew that they weren't really didn't have enough to get there.
Still a pretender,
right? Still a pretender. So let's take that into account. The second and third best teams in the East are only going to get worse next year. Who's going to make the jump? Toronto? No. Washington? Washington is the only team that can make the jump into the elite.
Washington can make.
They have the right ingredients to do it, but until they actually freaking do it, they are what they are. They're 47-50 wins.
If by ingredients you mean the trade pieces to get Kevin Durant, then yeah, Washington can make the jump.
No, absolutely, they have the trade pieces to get Kevin Durant, but they also have Wall's a really good player. Wall and Beal, Curry and Thompson. They're eventually going to get to that point where they figure it out, and they'll just be monsters. 75, 80 games out of the entire season. And then you look, they got Pierce, really good gel guy at this point of his career. They got Nene. Nene maybe not necessarily a winning player, but he's like a tough, gritty player.
Him matched with Gortat.
He's fine what he
good.
is.
Yeah.
They have Gortat, who's very versatile, very good, very solid modern day NBA.
Would they make the playoffs in the West? Would they make the playoffs in the West?
So I think so. The only thing is, I don't know if they wouldn't be a top 4 team. They'd be somewhere between 5 and 8.
Obviously,
no, they'd be like between like 7 and 10.
Well, Dallas is going to fall off next year. They would have been better than New Orleans.
You know, they could. Dallas might get Lamar Aldridge.
They would have. I don't know about that.
I do.
You got your sources. Yeah, we know.
I don't want to get into a whole breakdown of the roster because there's all that stuff going on in the NBA too. Obviously, there was the whole Lance Stephenson trade to the Clippers. I don't want to get into that right now. It's finals only. Next week. We'll do more draft stuff. We'll have Andrew Carver come in and do some draft stuff too. And then the Knicks picking 4, so it's big news to all of us. We are called the Edition of Swishing Podcast 4 Live Razor for a reason. So we'll get into that. So we'll get into other NBA stuff. But I wanted to ask the quick question. So you guys both agree Cavs will be in the finals next year.
They win it.
They're going to win
I'm ready
it.
for that.
So my next question is, are the Warriors are they going to be the 1 seed in the West next year?
Yes.
Are they going to be in the NBA Finals next year?
I forgot to let Gene answer that.
Well,
so you could go both
answer.
Yeah. They're going to be no. West is too tough. No, won't be.
And they're not going to 1 seed.
They will. Will they be the 1 seed? I don't know. But
I say yes.
The deepest team. They're built for the regular season because the regular season's all about depth.
Right.
But
that's big.
Playoff wise, West is too deep. I can't say they're going to make it.
They're not repeating.
They're not repeating.
They're like the. Well, this is going to be a really good segue once we get into hockey. But they're like the Blackhawks right now. They've got a lot of really good players at the top, and the way they're built is that when Iguodala goes, they'll have somebody to replace what he does.
Next man up.
Right, next man. Bingo. There you go. Thank you. They're going to lose David Lee, which means that if they look to find a trader,
trade him, yeah.
I think somebody will take on David Lee.
Of course,
his contract's not that bad. He's a solid player.
CBA going up. But he's paying $15 million a year for a guy barely. Yes, he's an all-star. He's
a 2-time all-star. He was a 2010 player 2 years ago.
Not a good player by any stretch.
No, but he's a good player in the right situation.
He was All-NBA, I'm pretty sure, at one point. On the Knicks. He was was it the Knicks or the Warriors? He was 3rd-team All-NBA at one point.
He was on the Warriors. The second time he went 20-10, he was an all-star with the Warriors. And he went 3rd-team All-NBA, I believe. I believe you were right there.
No, some team will pick him up, and especially a younger team.
So they'll have money to reshuffle the deck, so to speak. They're a really, really well-built team, and they're built to last.
There's always one guy who gets an overinflated contract. Oh, he won a ring. In every sport. David Lee's going to be that guy this year. I remember when the Giants won, Jabril Wilson got a huge contract with the Raiders and did nothing.
Yeah, you're right. He's right about that. I do think the Cavs will be back in the finals next year. I think Kevin Love's staying. Kevin Love's he can opt in, make his money, make whatever he makes this year, and then get the big money next season. It does not make any sense for him to go anywhere else now.
Because look what they could do without him.
Right.
They went to the finals.
That being said, Tristan Thompson and his defense, what he does is better for the Cavs. They played it better defensively with Tristan Thompson in. He basically is Kevin Love without the range.
If he had a mid-range shot, he'd be the ideal LeBron James forward. Because the power forwards never do anything next to LeBron, but just easy putbacks, rebounding. He's a rich man's Joel Anthony.
Right, yeah. I don't think the Warriors will be the number 1 seed. I don't think the Warriors will be in the finals next year. It's very hard in the NBA to repeat and go back-to-back. If the Spurs couldn't do it, I'm not going to buy into the Warriors doing it. Again, I really wish the Warriors dominated during the playoffs. Just making me laugh. I wish they dominated to see them. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Steve Kerr, like we said, if he's a Hall of Fame coach, gets his team back to over 60 wins again. With the draft and all the free agent moves, let's see what they could do. I'm not sold on them being this juggernaut. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're a mainly jump shooting team. But seeing what LeBron did to them single-handedly with a team that bad around him was scary and did not help the cause for me to be confident in them by any stretch of imagination. So like I said, next week more NBA stuff, more draft stuff. We'll break down other moves and the last sequence and stuff. I think is very interesting because he's a guy who it's almost addition by subtraction. Not almost, probably is. Charlotte's very happy that he's gone. So any last words for the NBA stuff before we kiss this NBA playoffs and regular season goodbye?
One more compliment to LeBron. I think what he did is probably one of the 5 best accomplishments.
It was one of the best sporting moments we've ever watched.
I agree. I think there's no other player in NBA history who did what he did with this Cavaliers.
Jordan would not.
If you switch Jordan and LeBron after Game 1, Jordan gets swept. That team gets swept.
Jordan would not have brought that team there because
Jordan was on that team and he lost to the Pistons twice.
Right, people forget about that too. Jordan until he got Pippen and Rodman, he was like LeBron made the NBA Finals in his fourth season. It took Jordan 6, and Jordan lost in the first round. LeBron's never lost in the first round. Jordan was losing in the early round of the playoffs. People forget that. I'm a Jordan hater. I'll admit that. And I hate what LeBron does off the court. I hated LeBron when he didn't pick the Knicks. We broke it down last podcast. I think LeBron does the dumbest stuff. I think him being a little selfish in this finals definitely rubbed people the wrong way, and for good reason. People are always going to hate you, LeBron. I just understand that. Wrap your head around that. But what he did on the court and the fact that he plays all 5 positions, he could pass when he needs to. He almost averaged triple-double. He was the first time in NBA Finals history to lead both teams in everything. He should have been Finals MVP. Andre Iguodala, good. God bless you. You had to guard LeBron. That must be the toughest thing in sports to do right now. But you were not the Finals MVP. People are going to look back at that one day and cringe and say, wow, we had 2 years in a row of guys who we really don't know about, unless Kawhi Leonard becomes something massive. But LeBron James, for all he did, that was the only part of the series. If he was not playing like that, this series was a total trash series. Garbage. That's it. Final thing for the NBA.
Final burn.
There was another trophy given out, and comparing the Stanley Cup to the Larry O'Brien trophy, it's night and day. The funniest thing about it, too, that the Larry O'Brien trophy was in the building, though, when it needed to be. The Stanley Cup was late.
Has that ever happened before?
And the Conn Smythe was late because there's bad weather in Chicago. That guy was on the commercial with the long blonde hair and the white gloves.
Right.
They had to drive him there. They had a police escort to get Lord Stanley and the Conn Smythe trophy in the building
on time.
And the one thing I'm happy about this NHL playoffs is that the right team won the Stanley Cup, and I guess in the NBA the right team did win too. But I was pulling for LeBron. I was not pulling for the Lightning by any stretch. And the right player won. Now the NHL has, for those who listen who don't know anything about the NHL, they don't have a finals, a Stanley Cup Finals MVP. They have the Conn Smythe Trophy, which is the best player in all the playoffs. So they're, technically, if you played a 4-game series in the first round, you got swept and you lost, and you scored 10 goals a game and you had 40 goals in the playoffs, you could win the Conn Smythe Trophy and not even play in the Stanley Cup Finals if that crazy stat happened. The player who won the Conn Smythe Trophy was Duncan Keith, defenseman, one of the top defensemen in the league, future Hall of Famer, a future numbers going to be retired in Chicago. Just an amazing
playing 50 minutes a game, something like that.
Yeah, playing.
Played 48% of all the minutes the Chicago Blackhawks played in the entire playoffs.
And think about that long series. And they had that long series at Anaheim in the Western Conference Finals where games were going in double and triple overtime, 5-6 period games, and he's playing over an hour in those games. Unbelievable stuff. And the right player won it. I cannot say the same for the NBA. Duncan Keith, without a doubt, deserved that. I'm very happy they won. I'm very happy that there's a dynasty in the NHL. The Blackhawks are such a likable team. Still young talent. Jonathan Tate is a captain. Captain Sirius over there. 27 years old. Guy has, 2 gold medals, 3 Stanley Cups. He's a Conn Smythe Trophy. He captain of the original 6 team. The city in the palm of his hands. And the guy sitting in the palm of his hands, Patrick Kane.
Him and Taves and Patrick Kane, I got to say, they're the most opposite people I can think of.
A party animal and one who doesn't smile at all.
The poster boy of Barstool.
Yeah, literally.
Kane has kind of toned it down in recent years. He's really, really matured. He's dating somebody now.
Yeah,
that I know. He's got a girlfriend.
This is
really hot.
All right, Joe.
All right, cool.
Hot take.
So I'm very glad that Duncan Keith won that. He's another guy who's very low key and serious. I know they made a joke about it on Barstool. I saw Big Catch was talking to him because he followed him the trophy, and he was like, "Hey Duncan, you know how hard you're playing, 50 minutes a game, and all. Do you know how hard it is to sit and block for 10 hours a day?" And Duncan Keith's response was a blank stare, which I thought was hilarious and captures Duncan Keith. If you see him in interviews, he's such a still static guy. Doesn't really say anything. Thinking how
hockey's great. Even the guys who do nothing are characters.
Yeah, but thinking how tough it is, and I don't want to compare stuff because I don't want it to sound like I'm taking a shot at LeBron. And I get how he is fatigued because he did so much. But how are you fatigued? And Matthew Dellavedova getting IVs put in you, rushing you to the hospital. Steph Curry doubled over down, and he was throwing up and he was nauseous from being dehydrated. And all these guys in NBA are doing that. Duncan Keith is on skates, getting up and down the ice for an hour a game, for literally the whole entire game almost. Because I don't know why. I mean, I still don't know the reason why. I mean, who plays on the third line, the defensive pairing? Was it like Kimo Timonen switched out? I know Kaminsky.
Trevor and Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah, Trevor and Riemsdyk, one of them that switched out too.
David Ruddenblad, and I'm missing. Oh, Kyle Kaminsky.
Kaminsky, as I said, yeah. I know Kaminsky and Kimonen played most, the bulk of the minutes, because the second line was Jarlison and Oduya and Jarlison for the second line, and top line, obviously, Keith and Seabrook, which has been that way for my whole life. Right. So I don't get why Coach Quenneville was not playing was not rolling the three defensive pairs. In the playoffs, I don't know how you do that, because, I mean, how were they that bad? They're not playing, because we're Rangers fans here. We watch the Rangers. We have Vigneault. We have
Kimo looked really, really slow.
Well, he played.
Looked pretty good.
He's a young player. Yeah,
he's a very young player, and they're going to get Mike Riley soon too.
Yeah. Well, I watched Trevor Van Riemsdyk play for New Hampshire, where his brother went to. So I've seen him play a lot. I guess because we're Rangers fans here, we're used to seeing who was our third pairing. When we made a midseason trade to get Keith Yandel, we have Stahl, Girardi, McDonough, Yandel. When Hunwick played, he filled in great. Dan Boyle. The Rangers used everyone, and they needed to because of all these injuries we had. McDonough with the broken ankle, this and that. I don't know how Duncan Keith is not in a body cast. I don't know how he had the lungs to play as much as he did, but you have LeBron and Dellavedova and Steph Curry getting IVs in the court, and they play. I mean, yes, basketball was tough. Yes, they weren't subbing out, even though the Warriors could, because they went 11 deep, and the Cavs went 7-8 deep max. Really, until they played Mike Miller that one game. I don't get how
the ghost of Mike Miller.
Yeah, the ghost of Mike Miller. I just don't get how these guys do. I mean, how tough are these NHL players that are doing this?
It's like that thing. Every once in a while, someone puts up a picture on Facebook of like all the ridiculous reasons, like people miss games in other sports, like baseball missed because of a hangnail.
Yeah, Mark pulled oblique, right?
And then the reverse of that in hockey, all the crazy injuries they play through, like Cal and fucking. Oops. All right, there we go. It slipped.
It's a podcast, so we're allowed to do it.
Live in the basement, broken skating McDonough skating around on a broken foot. Yeah, exactly.
So it's crazy that he did this, but I'm very happy they won. I guess the team that doesn't have one besides the Rangers was the Blackhawks, because I kind of root for them. Just a really Coach Quenneville's the best coach in the NHL by far. He's a future Hall of Famer. The team, the way they're built, and hey, both championship teams, Warriors and the Blackhawks, both built the same way. Both homegrown teams drafted these players, drafted Steph Curry, drafted Klay Thompson.
That's how you do it.
Kane, draft Taves, all these guys they had, and they built them the right way. They made the smart free agency acquisition, the smart trades. Bringing a guy like Brad Richards did wonders for them. Couldn't really work out with the Rangers. It was great from the lower lines with Blackhawks. The Warriors bringing a guy like Andrew Bogut for much of the season. He was great for them. Teams need to follow that model of smart drafting. Yeah, seriously.
They tried. They tried their hardest.
No, and you see.
What if they landed the first overall pick?
And it always goes back to the Rangers too. We saw how the Rangers were. They were built in teams where the one offseason they go and sign Chris Drury and Scott Gomez, and they go and trade for Yager years before that. Never really works out. And then how they start drafting players, like you have Stahl, you sign Girardi, you draft Stepan, you draft Chris Kreider, you draft JT Miller, you draft, we make the smart trade for Ryan McDonough when he was still a Montreal Canadian prospect. All these moves we make before these guys are established stars, and you're not giving 32-year-olds a 7-year contract. Look, we give a big contract to when he's past 30. Brad Richards, where is he now? Winning a cup with Chicago on the third and fourth line. So it shows you how we have to approach, not we, but teams that should approach building franchises, because it's so hard to build them through the draft, and you grow them in your own system. You coach them from when they're pups all the way until when they're veterans, in their primes. That's so hard to do it. So kudos to both franchises for building their teams like that. They're showing everyone how it's done. If you're the Cavs, you have the best player in the world, you're fine. It doesn't really work like that in other sports, though. And the Lightning have done it as well. I mean, their center and their superstar, Steven Stamkos, they made a good trade getting Ryan Callahan for Marius Stanley's career is probably going to be over soon. They did make a couple good free agent signings. A guy like Anton Strawman, who was amazing for them, second best defenseman behind Victor Hedman, who's going to be a complete stud. He's a superstar. Definitely a Norris Trophy candidate coming up in the next couple of years, because he was amazing. But I know I'm going to write an article about the NHL season because I've been very, even when Joe walked in the house before, my dad goes to him, "Oh, the Rangers, we still can't get over this."
He's still doing that.
And I'm staring at your computer.
He's going to do that all summer.
I'm staring at your computer screen with the New York Rangers shield on it too, and I'm going to write something about how to deal. If you're one of the other 29 teams, I'm going to include Lightning fans too. If you did not win the cup, what questions do you have to answer? How do you cope with it? How do you go change? Because I'm thinking I have a great lead in my head already. You're gonna love it.
Oh
but
boy!
Can't
wait for this.
Every time I drive by Flanagan's Pub up the street from my house, what happens in my head? I think I was in there. I was in there for Game 7 versus the Caps when Derek Stepan scored, and I remember everyone going crazy and jumping, and my dad with tears and hugging. We're gonna go to Eastern Conference Finals. I know every time I go to Z2 where my girlfriend Jada works, I watched the game where the outburst was in Game 5 when they won and bring it to Game 6 and. It's just it's tough to cope with a team you care so much about and go. So I wonder, like a little fun article on how to, if you're a diehard, how do you cope with it going forward in the season? Now we're in a really boring stretch right now. We're in June, July, August. You only have baseball.
We're just reaching for ideas.
There's nothing. There's really nothing, and it's not even for the podcast. Just in general, sports really is nothing going on. The NFL is dead as it could be, but. There's very little news. The NBA, yeah. Once the NBA drafts over, we care about obviously with the Knicks. There's really not much going on. The Yankees are in first place, which is great. Yankees and Mets don't have that much to talk about right now. Besides the A-Rod's 2000 hit, which we'll get to. We can get to that next. There's not much going on, so I'll write that fun little article. Now the season's over. The Blackhawks had their cup parade today, I believe.
Yes, they did.
So that season's over. The Warriors are having theirs in Oakland. I'm not sure when, but I know it's in Oakland for sure.
Friday.
It's Friday, so tomorrow.
Unfortunately,
in Oakland, not in San Fran. So the parades are coming up. So
here's a question I got: how many people in the country don't know where Golden State is? Like, think it's so how many people think it's like New Mexico or something like that?
Our country's dumb. So I mean, I know that no
New
one's
It
Mexico.
could be anything.
The Golden State.
The Golden State.
If you ask people what the Golden State was, they would have no idea.
They go.
That's a great point. No, our country is so dumb.
The Golden State Warriors. Our
Our country is unbelievably dumb. Like on a daily basis, interacting with people. Like
I think that one's like intentionally made to throw people off. Like,
Well, they
let's
used-
see how many people we can get.
they used, if I'm not mistaken, they used to be the San Francisco Warriors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the days, like Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, and they had Rick Barry was on the team too. That's why
Yeah.
they won a championship. Rick Barry comes on the show all the time. Rick Barry.
Speaking of
awesome interview.
Wilt Chamberlain,
Oh boy.
I was meeting with one of my uncles the other day. He was talking about he was a big basketball fan. Like, everyone's saying, I watched Jordan play. Jordan's better. This guy watched Wilt Chamberlain play and said LeBron's the best player he's ever seen. There you go.
I think LeBron, what he could do, he does more than any other player can do because he can play all 5 positions. Wilt Chamberlain couldn't bring the ball to the court. I mean, he's an athlete, but he's not a point guard. LeBron can bring the ball to the court. LeBron can play the 2, the 3, the 4, which he does a lot. A lot of players today his age can play the 2, 3, or 4. I mean, Carmelo Anthony can play the 2, 3, or 4. Kevin Durant can play the 2, 3, and 4. But to play the 5 and the 1 is crazy. It's incredible.
Look, he's the strongest player in the league. He's the fastest player in the league.
Right. So I mean, he's man. I mean, that guy. I guess everyone. No one's perfect. He's like the prime example of no one's perfect because he has whatever he does. His physical tools are like there's no word to describe them. But his mental capacity, is, whatever you want to call it, is just
mental toughness.
It's lacking, and he's a mental midget, without a doubt,
easily.
And he says stuff that is just it's mind-boggling, literally boggles the mind. Another guy who does that, Alex Rodriguez, and he's always been very, very good this year. And if you said before the season that here was something I was worried about. I said the Yankees are going to be great this year. I said the Yankees have a real shot at winning the division because it's so bad, and I said that A-Rod was going to have he's going to be one of the most important Yankees on offense this year, and I was right about all those things. Go back, go check the tape, go check. They're all on the website, they're all on YouTube, they're all saved on my hard drive. They're here, they're available. You can find them. And I said these things, and you know what? We'll give each other credit too. I'll shake your hand for this because guess we both picked in the Western Conference Finals, the Stanley Cup playoffs, Chicago Blackhawks.
We did.
So we got that half right. A-Rod, he's been a good guy this year, and Joe something before, another wrestling term. First of all, Yankee Stadium was packed tonight. I'm not sure because you don't really see Yankee Stadium packed this much. Maybe because the kids are out in school. It's the summer, people want to go buy tickets. Maybe it's for A-Rod, on the brink of having 3,000 hits. Everyone knows, Len Jeter did it last year. Hit the home run in Yankee Stadium. Tonight, A-Rod had 2 hits, and we had his third hit would be 3,000. So everyone's standing with their phones out, and I go, "Holy crap! The stadium's packed, and everyone's cheering and it's loud." And you don't even see anything like that anymore because it's all full of suits. It's all full of guys who, the whole bottom section's empty because the tickets cost as much as, sitting courtside with the Knicks. and it was packed capacity. And Joe said that A-Rod's a face now. A-Rod turned face. A-Rod is loved, and that's something that I didn't think would happen this year at all. I did not see that coming.
He's the biggest baby face in the world. He's the biggest baby face since Hogan in 85, 87.
Let me take. So we're gonna go from wrestling to another one of Joe's favorites. We're gonna go Batman. Their moral codes, and how they don't like steroids. They're only as good as the world allows them to be. So once A-Rod becomes the only shining light on the Yankees, they're all in on A-Rod. Forget the steroids. Forget all that. Like, let's go A-Rod.
Well, I think part of it has to do because, one, he's been so good this year. That helps him. If A-Rod stunk this year, he would not be cheered for.
Oh, it's because A-Rod's good, and everyone else is, they're okay.
Right.
Like, solid.
And the team's in first place, too.
And the team's in first place. And it's because of A-Rod.
And the other half that I think is, and A-Rod must be listening to my podcast because he's learned to not say the dumb things, not say the wrong things. He's an interview. He's gracious. He's humble. He says how he wouldn't expect this to happen, this and that. He says everything is right.
How many people do you think he has working around the clock coaching him on what to say in every interview?
That's a good question. I'm not so sure if it's that or if it's the fact that he's had so many years of saying the wrong crap. They're like, Jesus, Alex, like, enough. Like, say...
Tiger Woods, you suck.
Yeah. Say something that makes you like. Say something that makes you feel like you're... not a $250 million athlete that everyone hates. Say something that makes you not feel like a steroid freak. Say something that puts you on the level of everyone else. Be more like Jeter. Be more like a guy who gets interviewed and everyone goes, okay, he's not a bad guy. He had to learn how to be more humble and just more of a common man. And I think that he kind of...
Common man.
Well, he learned. And I think he learned. And I think it matters a lot.
I think he learned it too.
I think it's half the season because his play, the Yankees play in general, they're both good. And A-Rod's hitting the ball. A-Rod, right now, is comeback player of the year. And there's no one in the MLB I can think of that's comeback player of the year besides A-Rod. And the other half is that he's not saying dumb things that make you smack your head and go, why is Alex saying that? And you add those things together, and then look what happens. We're sitting in front of my TV. It's loud. The place is packed on a Thursday night when it's like 55 degrees outside. And A-Rod had 2 hits tonight. He's 1 away from 3,000. And everyone has their cell phones out trying to take video of A-Rod. So, and the MLB is giving out they're making switch the balls, the special balls for A-Rod, and he hits 3,000. That's going to Cooperstown, which I was shocked about. Because they
you didn't know that?
Well, baseball, I mean...
It was weird like that.
I didn't think they wanted anything to do with A-Rod.
They don't, but they have to.
I guess because there would be a whole other suit again that with the whole first. I mean, the one even this beginning of this year we had to deal with the whole compensation thing. I was just shocked that the Yankees or A-Rod wanted anything to do with. Baseball wanted anything to do with A-Rod and promoting this 3,000 hit. But whatever it is, fact of the matter is, A-Rod's one of the best players ever. And I always make the joke that he put poison in his body. He's an American hero because he put poison in his body for the sake of winning a title for New York.
Well, America's greatest hero did steroids. Captain America just shot him up full of steroids, turned into a superhero.
That's essentially what A-Rod did. He put steroids in his body to win a title. We got him in 2004. No, we weren't winning. And A-Rod said, I got to keep doing it. And in 2009, we finally won one. And he put it in his body, and he won a title for us, for the Yankees, for the organization, for the city,
watch,
for the Bronx,
for the watch.
Yeah, for the watch. A little foreshadowing. So I'm happy for Alex. I mean, he's vital, and it makes it's more fun watching baseball when Alex is playing this well, and when the Yankees are in first place. And every night's I'm watching baseball way more. I mean, how many games? You might be different because I know you watch a lot, but I for one really didn't watch last year.
I didn't watch last year either. Last year, I was kind of like going through the motions.
But now it's almost like it's when you see. Yes, we don't have basketball, we don't have hockey, and no football until September. But now, if the Yankees are on at 7:00, you're not going, there's something on TV. I'm putting the Yankees on. I'm watching.
Yeah, I
want to see them win now, and it's good because baseball needs it. Baseball stinks right now. They're in the gutter.
Well, that's why they're promoting A-Rod. Their morals are all those bad jokes. They're going to go in, if A-Rod's doing good and they can make money of him, they're going to promote him. They don't care about the steroids thing. Maybe they wanted to back off Bonds because it was just such a firestorm around Bonds. They didn't really want to promote his record-breaking home run because they felt like there was a
Falco investigation. It was more of a legal federal thing as well. I mean,
rubbed people the wrong way too. They was breaking this record with steroids and the legal.
A-Rod's not breaking a record. He's just having 3,000 hits. That's not being true.
It's been done.
He's not taking anything away from anyone.
Well, what do you think? RBI record's definitely within his reach. Probably if he does 3 more years.
Yeah, that's really something that.
What do you think baseball would do in that occasion?
They better throw him a party.
If Barry Bonds is ahead of Hank Aaron, you have to put A-Rod.
No, Barry. It's A-Rod
it's
can.
hanging
A-Rod
out,
can move. No, A-Rod can move. A-Rod's in fourth right now. He can move. He's got 2,000 something. The third is some guy who played in the 1880s with 2,075. Then there's Ruth, then Aaron, and that's it.
No, I'm talking about the home run record. I'm saying.
Oh,
I'm
no.
saying.
I'm saying the RBIs,
no, I know, but
right.
I'm saying that if we recognize that Barry Bonds is ahead of Hank Aaron, you have to recognize that A-Rod's ahead. In
Oh,
RBI.
yeah.
That's the way it works.
Right. Oh no, but I mean like the actual like promoting it. I mean, what would they do?
What do you mean promote?
Well, like we were saying, they're promoting kind of A-Rod's 3,000 hit right now. They were kind of backing off. They were being a little, sheepish with Barry Bonds' record breaker.
Do you mean with 3,000 hit?
Becomes a celebration.
They're just switching the balls, and everyone continues on their feet standing. Every Italian guy who's going to the game is just saying, "Yeah, A-Rod," and that's what they're doing. MLB themselves, they're not promoting it. They're not going crazy for it. When A-Rod breaks the RBI, I don't think the RBI record is as popular as the home run record. Everyone kind of knows the top of the home run record list. No one really knows the RBI record list. There's certain records
Because there's some guy in the 1880s at 3.
There's certain records in sports. I mean, baseball has the most well-known records. They have the most, I guess, almost talked about or debated records. You know, the NFL
Revered.
Yeah. The NFL, we know the most.
That's the whole point of the steroid thing. There's rampant steroids going on in the NFL. There's rampant steroids.
Sure.
Yeah, but no one cares. Like, all right, well, everyone's doing steroids.
Well, the NFL's king, but no one knows the NFL records. No one knows who has the most 100 passes ever. No one knows most rushing yards ever. I mean, most people don't know.
When you look at it, so everyone's doing steroids. There's no advantage, but people aren't looking at it like that. Like, the real fans are looking at Babe Ruth didn't do steroids, and now Barry Bonds is going to break his record, like, on steroids. So it's so revered, almost too much, actually. But, like, it becomes this thing, and that's why, like, that's actually kind of the history of the game, where they were all doing drugs still. They were doing amphetamines back then, since, like, the 50s.
Right.
Mickey Mantle was, like, popping greenies all the time, but, like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but it's revered.
Oh, big time! Everyone knows baseball records. Baseball records, it's America's pastime. People know. People are on top of the records, and then A-Rod should get his 3,000 hit. Probably tomorrow. He can get 2 hits tonight, so he's hitting the ball. It's great for the Yankees.
Home tomorrow?
Yes, I think Verlander is starting tomorrow for the Tigers for first start in a while, so it should be a good one. Verlander's the guy to give up his 3,000 hit. That's gonna be that'll be on TV. Right?
That'll be on TV. That's gonna be great.
Kate Upton might dump him.
Yeah, she'll take a couple more pictures of him.
Kate Upton's still relevant. That blows my mind.
She's not really. She's doing Game of War commercials. Like
I think Mariah Carey's taking over for her.
She's doing commercials for an iPhone.
She was getting paid like $40+ million per commercial. She shot that for their contract was like $40 million
for an iPhone.
For an iPhone game, yeah, because it gets a lot of play.
Wow,
that's incredible.
I mean, that's just
she weighs more than Justin Verlander.
Worth more?
Weighs.
Oh, weighs. Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, she weighs more than Justin Verlander. She weighs more than Littlefinger. Justin Verlander looks exactly like Littlefinger.
Yeah.
He does. He looks exactly like Littlefinger. We can't contain ourselves right now.
No, I said I opened the show saying we could be more loose.
They keep falling through the cracks. These references.
Well, everyone. I'm going to go on a limb. Everyone that listens to our
people who watch the show know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So exactly. Great. So it's fine. The last thing I wanted to get to quickly, because I think we'll text it, 2 or 3 of us are Giant fans here. The whole Des Bryant thing, and I know his agent Tom Conlon said he's prepared to hold out. And the crazy thing about this was that Des Bryant showed up to the optional mini camp, whatever, a couple weeks back or whatever it was. Went there, and I guess he kind of walked in and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm here early, guys. Really, appreciate what I'm doing. I'm here. I'm trying to work out. I'm Des Bryant, your superstar, and I'm in the optional workouts when no one else is." And then I guess he caught wind he wasn't going to get paid, and then he said, "See you later. I'm out." And then now he's going to potentially miss games. Now, as a Giants fan, I love it. I mean, you love it. I mean, maybe for fantasy reasons we don't, because we're gonna, that's going to come up soon. But for the Giants winning the NFC East, I love it. Get this Bryant out of there. He was a beast last year. Do you buy into him actually missing any games whatsoever?
Well, I'm going to put it in your own perspective. If you showed up to work and they said you're not going to get paid, you'd go home.
I know the feeling.
10 times out of 10.
I still say yes to shifts, and I still go, and I work insane hours.
I'm going to sum this thing up in one sentence, because we've talked a lot on everything, and this you let DeMarco Murray go so you can pay Des Bryant.
They can't keep tagging Des Bryant. I totally agree.
Now pay Des Bryant. Simple as that. One sentence sums it up. You let DeMarco Murray go to pay Des. Now pay Des.
I agree. That's it. That's phenomenal.
That's all you're going to say on it? I was hoping to get...
What else am I going to say?
It's the NFL, Joe. It's king. I was hoping to get a pee break. We've been on this for 2 hours.
What are you going to do? Trade Des Bryant? Yeah, okay.
No, I never trade Des Bryant.
There were crazier things going around in the offseason than trading Des Bryant. People like the Chargers were going to trade away Phillip Rivers for the second pick to get Mariota.
Yes.
That was There was with the Eagles were doing this offseason. Any range of stupidity can happen.
I think they ended up pretty good. Trade him, but I think that you have to stop franchise tagging.
Easily. You got to pay.
He's the top receiver in the league. You have to lock him up.
Well, the only one problem I can see with it is he wants Calvin Johnson's grotesquely overpaid, so he's going to want Calvin Johnson money.
But how old is this, Brian? What are you, 25, 26,
something like that?
27 even?
Well, no one wants to sign that check though.
Right.
You should. It makes all the sense in the world, but no one wants to sign.
He does have weird, very strange off the field issues too. He's a guy that you have to worry about. He's a head case. I think he'll play. I think he's going to show up. Have players, stars of his magnitude, have they really who's actually sat out of games? Did Rivas sit out? No, right? No one no one really misses regular season games. I can't remember that.
Used to be rookies. I remember Jamarcus Russell didn't sign until week 4, which
Russell didn't sign at all. He wasn't in minicamp.
He wasn't. No. Which went a long way in him becoming a huge bust. But he didn't. He was not signed into the season.
So I can't recall really any players that missed any time like that. But yeah, off the top of my head, I can't really think. I don't think no one. It's all bluff. You're playing poker. You're not missing games.
It's a play to get paid. That's basically what it comes down to.
Depends on how much. It depends. The Adrian Peterson we saw this. He all in said I'm not holding out. Then it's all right, but you're going to lose $8 million.
Dude couldn't even make training camp, and he came back already. Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a bluff. It depends on how much you're going to lose. If Dez, I don't know how the franchise works, but if Dez can miss time and still get paid, he's going to.
The franchise I just know he gets paid the average of the top.
It might it might be fully guaranteed. I'm not sure about that, but whatever there's all these weird dates or something like that you can work in something. The day he's got to be in to get paid, he will be there to get paid.
The best part too is Jerry Jones' son, Stephen Jones, was interviewed, and he was like, "Yeah, we don't really pay attention to it. We just think it's nonsense." So they're not going to budge, and obviously we know that. He'll be back. He'll play, and he'll score a lot of touchdowns for the Cowboys and give the Giants fits. So not looking forward to that. But hey, he's on my fantasy team, which we have stuff to look forward to. That'll be good. Hey, we'll have that in the summer. We'll have fantasy shows. That'll be good.
Fantasy shows are going to
see people who are listening are like, oh god, they're talking about Game of Thrones now. They're not a sports podcast anymore. So no, we'll have fantasy stuff. We'll give you a fantasy advice. We'll do it every week. But we're just trying to be more. We're just trying to be more fun. We're trying to be more. It's a podcast. We're not a radio show. We're trying to be more fun, more social, more.
I'm gonna give everyone my fantasy advice, a 2-time Sacco winner, never in the playoffs.
Sacco, last place in our league. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, for people who don't watch the league on FX, friend of the show, FX.
Yeah, friend of the show, FX. And we're sponsored by Applebee's, too. Applebee's sponsored the show. Another thing, I want to quick shout out to Greek Chris, who always listens to us. Chris, thank you for being a friend of the podcast and the blog, tweeting us this
2
and that.
2 hours in, we got
we're 2 hours in, we're giving the birthdays. We're saving the best for last. You talk about shows, the league, but people show people watch more, probably Game of Thrones. So here's our fun bit of the week. As we all know, the finale just came. Game of Thrones comes so quick and ends so quick. I just feel like we're waiting for it to come, and then it's there and gone, an hour a week every Sunday night, and that's it. That's all you get out of it. I thought in general, are we doing a season? A finale wrap up looking forward? Are we talking about a whole season? What do you want to do here?
I think we should talk about the finale first and foremost, because I feel like the finale was one of the best episodes of the series.
The whole season, it was a strange season to set this up. A strange season because George R. R. Martin, very slow with the books, does not write them as quickly as he should. So the source material for the David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, the two guys who are the show producers, writers, whatnot, they don't have a lot to go off of. So I felt the season, really besides Hard Home episode 8, maybe episode 7 too. So really 7, 8, 9 were good. 8 was incredible. 9 was incredible. Well, not as good as 8, but it was good. And then 10 I had a little issues with 10. Before that though, we know a lot of people were divided because you have the book readers like us who like the books and like the direction the book's going in, don't like some of the show aspects. So I thought it was strange on that, and they kind of relied on the end episodes to really push make season better, because 4 was incredible and there was something happening every episode. But season 5, I think as a whole, was kind of slow and didn't really go the direction I wanted it to. That being said, the really good episodes this season were phenomenal. I thought this finale had a ton of deaths, had a ton of crazy plot changes that were insane. Episode 8 finally shows us that the White Walkers are for real, and people start to care about that more, because I think it's something that goes lost in the viewers. That, when you see them in the beginning of the first scene in Game of Thrones of the show is the other White Walkers. And then since then, it's kind of more of the political King's Landing stuff. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're getting slammed. You're seeing how real this threat is. And that was awesome.
Really, everything in Game of Thrones built up to everything from season 1, from the first scene of the series, of the White Walkers. Then season 1 closed on Daenerys' dragons being born. Everything in the show built up to episode 8 and episode 9. Like, you're always thinking all along, like, oh, they're coming, they're in the background, the dragons are still kids, the White Walkers are coming. Now it's like, they're here. It's done. It's over. Like, and everything's just like falling in on itself. And what you were saying, so back to what you were saying really quick. Season 4 was great. I knew season 4 was going to be great since like the middle of season 2, when our friend Tom, he read the books like all 4 in like a month. As soon as season 1 came out, he got us all into Game of Thrones. So shout out to Tom, friend of the show. He brought Game of Thrones to the group. Anyway, he was the one who told me, all right, season 3 and 4 are going to be the third book, and they're going to divide into 2. I'm like, all right, season 4 is going to be the best season ever, because there's no build-up. It's just all chaos going on. Everything jumps right in the middle, which is exactly what they did. I think Joffrey died in like episode 2, and there was just crazy stuff going on from the whole thing. And then you see every 1, 2, and 3, you see like first 5 episodes are all build up, and then it starts getting pretty cool. And so this season was on books 4 and 5 and whatever magic stories.
It was on 4, 5, and stuff
stuff from 7.
Stuff we don't even know that if George even wrote about. That's
right,
the thing.
exactly.
It could be the ideas of the writers and producers themselves. Exactly. So that's stuff that rubbed a lot of the book readers the wrong way because of characters like Sansa. Stuff with her does not happen. Instead of going that way, they're really the only characters who followed the direction of the books was Arya, and for the most part Daenerys, but the people around Daenerys was kind of changed.
Yeah.
Besides that,
part of it was to add drama, because if you read books 4 and 5, really nothing happened. It's all build up until at the last chapter for everyone. It's like, wow, it's really crazy. Yeah. And like for most, like Dorne, like so we've gotten into the arguments about this, about like Joe thinks Dorne is great. And I
think Dorne was great in the books, and the show was a little different kind of depiction.
It was kind of crap.
They changed the story around a little bit. Wasn't necessarily a fan of the casting.
The casting was crap. They found like 3 hot, like tan, black hair women. Like, you guys are in. You're in. I don't think they auditioned for that part at all.
I don't think they auditioned either.
They said take your clothes off. If you pass the test, you're in.
I agree with that. I mean,
basically what happened.
I'm a big fan of all the Dorne stuff that happens in the books. In the show, not so much.
Really, in the books, like from me reading it, at least, I guess everyone's different. But like, I felt like nothing happened there until the very end. Like literally the last sentence of the last chapter in Dorne was fire and blood, and you're like, oh god, they're with the Targaryens. We just spoiled it for everyone. Who gives a crap?
Oh wow.
Well, the book's been out. It's been out since 2011.
Read the
book.
Let's
share from the book. Let's be more interesting. Talk about the show, because at least people watch the show. The show is all the news. You can't escape it. What happens? Everyone knows the big death. So let's talk about that.
That's a big thing I have a problem with. It's like, oh my god, X dies. And then
Jon Snow dies.
Right, Jon Snow dies. The end. Show's over.
Jon Snow dies, and we can talk about it because it was on the front cover of the Post.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, every website.
Right, every website.
The minute it ended.
But I just find it funny because it's like X dies. Spoilers ahead. You know what I mean? It's
the minute the show ended, Entertainment Weekly put out an interview with Kit Harington and how it said that he's not coming back to the show. His contract's
over. He's not coming back next season.
He can cut his hair.
Wink.
He's not. He said the character said he's not coming back. So no, you're right. You can't escape the spoilers. So I'm not. We can talk about whatever we want here. Look. The shows right now, the shows are caught up with the book. So if you didn't read the books, things are different. That's fine. Go back and read them. The book came in 2011. It's 4 years ago. So that's not our fault. So yeah, let's talk about the show endings going forward until next season for those to keep it less boring. No, strictly try to get away from the book references unless it has to deal with Jon, obviously. So yes, the big death, Jon, death, I say in quotations, The death, again, although a question mark, but Stannis, we don't know what his fate is. Myrcella.
So many people died, and they left them all on cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Really
well, except Selyse hung herself dead. Very dead.
That's one. Very
Myrcella, you
assume,
you assume she doesn't have the what is it called? The antidote to save herself from the poison. So she's in that boat with Jaime. You assume that Myrcella is dead. We're not sure if Brienne beheaded Stannis. I don't think Stannis is dead because I think if a character have his status would be alive and you'd see him actually die, I think he'll end up going to the wall. I know me and Joe, and I guess I'm not sure if Gene agrees with this, but the whole concept of the 998th
John was the
commander. 999 will be Alistair.
Probably, yeah.
And then 1,000 will look like it could be Stannis if he goes back. I think that's my theory.
It's going to be important going forward.
Sure. We missing any other deaths? So we had ending up with each character. So then, Sansa and Theon saves Sansa from the bow and arrow from Ramsay's.
Someone off the ledge and the fall kills them. So they said, "What's a good idea? Let's
jump off the walls of Winterfell," which have been said they can kill a man if they jumps off. However, they didn't fall in snow. Do I think Sansa's dead? No, I don't think they're going to kill a Stark like that. That doesn't happen to her in the book, so. A big change that a lot of people were really upset about because she had some harsh scenes early on in the middle of the season. Arya alive, blind temporarily, don't worry. So she's fine there. Daenerys is caught in the middle of a Dothraki circle because the army surrounded her.
She's always in these circles of slaves.
Yeah,
every Daenerys is the center point of the universe.
Yeah, she's not gonna. I don't think she's in trouble. I think either she'll be.
I feel like the show creators have done everything in their power to make Daenerys so likable.
Well, they have to because she's the big draw, the big name, the face on all the billboards. The dragons are a huge part of the show.
No, they
Jon Snow's death at the end, they basically said, "You will like Daenerys again.
No matter what."
Right,
Exactly.
And you will like it.
So she'll be okay. The real big thing, what it comes down to is Jon. And Jon, like you said, it's Jon and Daenerys. It's ice and fire. Jon Snow is one of the protagonists, one of the a few heroes left. If the show has any heroes. One of the 5 main central characters that George R. R. Martin always talks about that he wanted there in the end, which is another kind of clue that he'll be alive or come back at least. And that's Jon, Dany, Tyrion, Arya, and I'm guessing it's Sansa 5? I'm guessing Sansa's the 5th one.
Well,
or is it the Starks and who is the other 5th? He says there's 5. Am I screwing it up? It's Jon, Dany,
judging
Tyrion,
based on what I know from the Game of Thrones, it's the 6 central characters who are introduced in the Game of Thrones. The story is essentially the restoration of the Starks and the Targaryens.
No,
there are 3 Targaryens and then there are 3 Starks. I don't know how far we want to.
No, it's not. That's not what. No, George.
Yes, there's Jon, Daenerys, and Tyrion, and then there's Sansa, Bran. Well, if you want to count Rickon too,
right. That's what it is.
But Sansa, Bran, and Arya.
Probably Bran was probably the 5th one.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Bran is the 5th one.
No, it's Jon, Tyrion, Dany, and then it's Bran and Rickon is one, and Arya and Sansa is like the other. The Stark boys, the Stark girls are connected. That's what the 5 Stark bastards.
Midgets and Dragon Girls.
Dragon Girls, yes. Those are the 5. Anyway, the 5 main characters that are there, and that he said they'll be there to the end.
We're not close to the end yet.
We're not close to the end.
Very long books.
Now we all
Winds
hear
of Winter, Dreams of Spring, and Something of Summer.
We can't ramble here. I know. I feel like this podcast is going forever. So we'll get to the point. Is that we're all book readers. We all think that Jon will be alive. Do you think there's any chance maybe the show differs from the books? They don't bring him back alive. And if they don't bring him back alive,
the only scenario that I can see them actually differing, and this would honestly piss a lot of book readers off. But if they really, really, really wanted to go on a different tangent and make the show different, the only situation that they could come up with is having the Night's King revive Jon. That is way too different because
I'm not against
the Night's Watch has their ritual where
Well, I said this. Well, Joe's going to get into it. I said this. We'll know whether or not Jon is coming back first scene of next season. Because they'll either do what Joe says right now, go through their ritual, or they'll make a point of saying why they didn't do it. So get it going with what you're saying.
Right, because
burn the body.
Story-wise, Jon is a traitor to the Night's Watch, so the rest of the Night's Watch do not believe that Jon is one of them. So by that line of thought, they're probably not going to have the ritual for them.
The ritual is they burn the body.
Burn the body.
They burn the body.
Now his watch is ended.
Right.
And now his watch is ended because he's dead.
You saw it with Aemon Targaryen. You saw it with the old Lord Commander. They burned even. Yeah, they did it with the old one, right? Because he was. Oh no, right. John brought his body back, and they burned him.
Jeor Mormont. Yeah.
Right, Jeor Mormont.
But I was saying because he died in the mutiny or whatever. But
yes.
I think John brought his body back.
He did.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, that's a possibility. Both ways. Yeah, I think your Gene's right. I think season 6 has started the wall. You end it with the cliffhanger of John dying. It's going to end the wall. I think a couple things could happen. You know, for a fact that one is going to be the sum of the Night's Watch who didn't want to see John die. They'll say something. They'll say, "What is this? Why is he dead?" They'll obviously the group that killed him with Alistair and Ollie they'll fight back.
Kid's got to die.
Right. And then of course you have the whole.
They're trying to make him look cool this season. Like, hey, I'm John's buddy. Like, no, go kill yourself. You just killed. He killed Ygritte the last season too.
Yeah,
the redhead girl.
So you see that, and then the wildlings they brought in. They were brought in because of John. They trusted John and Tormund, and now the one guy on their side that brought in is now dead. They're going to think, "Oh crap! What are we doing here still?" So they're going to have a voice.
They're going to go to Wyndham Resorts with Tormund.
Tormund,
and his little umbrella.
Tormund's going to say something, and that's going to be interesting. So they're definitely starting there. I think what will happen is they won't be able to revive him. They won't burn him because. I think the White Walkers are going to come right when they least expect it. I think what's going to happen, they're going to be tested now without John there.
Well, here's one thing, and I'm interested to see where they go with this. So remember the end of last season when Bran was in the cave and the zombies ran in and they all shattered?
Yes.
That's because there's magic. Technically, that's in the wall, too. They even mentioned in the show there's, spells cast within the wall. So I'm interested to see where they go with that, with the White Walkers, how they're going to actually get over. So there was something No, there's actually nothing in the books about that.
There's not.
They talk about the Horn of Winter, of Joramun or whatever, and even Mance mentions that in the show.
Yes.
But no one's ever found it.
Right.
So the White Walkers can't actually get over it.
It's still unsure if Mance even had the real horn as well. That's another.
Well, people think it's the dragon horn that can tame the dragons.
The book it's way deeper than the show. The show is more of just surface area stuff. But I think it's definitely going to start at the wall. It's definitely going to show John, and I think that they'll be tested. There'll be a lot of obviously there was a mutiny, so there'll be a lot of internal trouble with the wildlings and Tormund versus the Night's Watch who just killed him. I think you're going to hear the horn blow 3 times. They're going to come. They're going to get attacked, and then the one cool, fun, interesting. The outlier there is that Melisandre's there with Davos, and Melisandre we all know is the Red Woman, the Lord of Light.
They made a point of making her go to the Riverlands to go see what happened down there. With Thoros.
Right. She had a conversation with Thoros. Thoros said, when you're down, when you have nothing left, that's when I revive Beric. She has nothing left. She failed Stannis by making Stannis kill his own daughter, Shireen. So now she left the camp. She rode back to the wall. She's there. She'll have the ability to revive John. I think that's what most people think will happen.
There's a lot of so I think you can say stuff like so there's a lot of things pointing to it there, another thing, why'd you go back to the wall, of all places.
Right. Yeah. I really can't see a scenario where she's not going to be reviving him where he's alive. You want to people will say, "Oh, he'll come back in the form of a wolf." He's not. They're not going to put the main protagonist in the body of a wolf for the remainder of the series. That's not going to happen. He's not going to come back as a wit, whatever they're called, a white, and be a zombie John. You can't, from a show's standpoint, you can't promote a zombie John. Beric died 10 times and he came back fine. He came as a weaker, but I think that also the one thing that's never mentioned in the show either, which is kind of strange, is that the Azor Ahai, whatever how you pronounce it, that's the god of sorts that saves humanity from the White Walkers and the other whites. Back in the Age of Heroes, years and years and years and years ago, before A Game of Thrones started, that's who you think that John could be. Melisandre thought that was going to be Stannis. She saw it in the flames. And obviously she's now shown that it was wrong, but those visions could have, the visions are never exact and never absolute. The visions, we
have an excellent book spoiler. And this really will help.
Well, I think that that her visions showed her Stannis that brought her to John. And then in their visions, the last vision she saw said that, she looks in the fire, all she sees is snow.
Right. In the books, Snow is not spelled with a lowercase s. It's a capital S.
Yeah, it's capital S.
Which is a specific reference to Jon. And for book readers, that alludes to the fact that at that point in time, she starts to doubt what she sees in flames. She sees in the flames, and she starts doubting.
She doesn't doubt the flames. She doubts that her interpretations are wrong.
Well, yeah. Basically.
She thinks that her interpretations of that Stannis is wrong. She thinks that what it does, what the flames did, though, they showed her something. She just didn't connect the dots that Stannis brought her to Jon, and that Jon is the one who could be the Azor Ahai, the R'hllor, whatever it is, the Lord of Light that comes and kills the Whites and the White Walkers.
Well, Azor Ahai will be championing for R'hllor? Is that basically?
Well, Azor is a real person that killed the White Walkers in the same
right? Yeah, Jon is him reincarnated.
Yeah, bald
right. But
she'll
she'll return him back to save humanity from the White Walkers for R'hllor.
Right, and again, our point here is just hard to tell you to ease your mind that Jon will come back. It's called A Song of Ice and Fire. Ice and Fire, Stark and Targaryen. Who's a Stark and Targaryen? It's Jon Snow. Jon Snow. R plus L equals J. Everyone knows at this point. George R. R. Martin asked the two writers, D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. The first thing he asked them, before they allowed him to do the show, was who's Jon Snow's mother and father. They answered right, and they have the show now. The rest is history.
They got the question wrong. We wouldn't have had this show.
They would have had the show. They got the question wrong. So they figured it out. So obviously George put his faith into them because they had to know. It's a known thing that the show has not addressed yet. If they, think about this. Think of all the reasons why Jon has to come back. If they're not, his parentage has been talked about since the first episode with Ned. And if you're not going to show that, that's the biggest farce in the history of shows. So it's obviously coming. He's too important to not come back. There's too many signs pointing, like you said, Melisandre's coming back. There's a billion reasons in the book we can get to. I don't want to spend too much more time on this because it's been a long podcast already. But there are, even with interviews of the actual actors, the woman who plays Melisandre said that she has another big scene with Jon. There's a purpose to the scene, or whatever like that. So there's been giveaways before.
Was it just for free nudity?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that.
Not just for free nudity.
It was not to make another smoke monster. No, there are giveaways. There's been a couple weird things too. When him dying, they saw his eyes change color to purple or something, I believe it was, and the sort of blood behind him in the shape of a wolf. Like the North remembers, the Stark house sigil is a wolf.
I didn't see the purple eyes thing.
Yeah, his eyes changed color apparently at the end.
That was another just fun fact. I think they were planning on Daenerys wearing contact, but she was supposed to wear purple contacts through the whole show
for the Targaryens.
She hated it. She couldn't do it.
His eyes changed purple. That's what they said. That was to show that he's part Targaryen as well.
Right, that's a little clue. Also, another thing that
something what Sam said that Jon always comes back to.
That's another thing too. In the show. I believe it was last season 4. There's a scene where Jon he's somewhere in the room, and on the back of the wall, if you Google this will confirm it. I mean, I'm really
it's
not
like
explaining
an Easter egg thing.
Yeah, it's like an Easter egg thing, and on the back of the wall, on the right angle, it says R plus L equals
J.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, they've been throwing really, really subtle hints in there, and for a lot of people, I mean,
they have
hard
this season
because
a lot.
They don't have the backdrop that we know from the books, because the books are really, really too in depth when it comes to this stuff. Right. So
this season has a lot.
But for somebody who's really, really watching the show closely, you start to pick up on it. Maybe Jon's not Ned's son. You know what I mean?
They say that. Stannis says, I think his wife says he's a bastard. Ned fathered out of wedlock. He said, no.
Ned had too much on him. Ned wouldn't do it.
Right.
If you saw and when they're when the crypts, Littlefinger and Sansa talking about it, you see
that's one of the most underrated scenes of this entire season.
When Sansa, talks about Rhaegar and says, what he did with Lyanna Stark, and you could see Littlefinger's reaction to it. It's not very convincing that what she's saying.
Right.
Is
what he says is, "Let's not wake the dead," meaning your Aunt Lyanna would be rolling over in her grave right now for even suggesting the thought that Rhaegar kidnapped her and raped her.
Because the show watchers and the show, what they wanted to do is believe in the Robert Baratheon, what he says in his theory, because he's a central character early on, and that's obviously wrong. There was another. I'm slipping my mind right now, just thinking of it when. Sir Barristan this season a lot was talking about tales of what Rhaegar did, and was like he was all happy every time he talked about he was singing and dancing in the street. He seemed like a really nice guy to make Daenerys feel good about her brother, because obviously her father, the Mad King, crazy. Her brother Rhaegar, a great guy, and then he dies before he can finish telling all the tales. So another a little insight into Rhaegar, that he was a good guy and was thought really highly of. So it was definitely a lot of clues for Jon. So if you're a show watcher or even a book reader too, just have faith that he's coming back. Even when people flat out asked George R. R. Martin saying, "Why'd you kill Jon?" His response laughed, and he goes, "Oh, so you think he's actually dead?" Like, I mean, come on. If he's coming back, they're going to say he's not coming back. They're going to hide him. They're going to do whatever they can, but he'll be on set soon enough. Apparently, he also there's another clue into it as well, that Jon had double the amount of scenes filmed than every other character there. A lot of people think that he might have done a lot of scenes for season 6 to not give it away that he's coming back. So that's something to look out for. He'll come back. I mean, that's our prediction on that. I guess we could do Game of Thrones updates from here and there, because it's something we all know about.
What I thought could happen to kind of keep that away, because obviously the day he walks on set, boom, everyone's all over.
Sure.
What I thought they could kind of do is it's not exactly Jon. It's like some kind of masked man or something like that. And then like the last episode takes off the mask and it's like...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure when the reveal will happen. He might not come back in this book or this upcoming season. He might come back in the next one later on. The Night King thing theory was interesting because... talking about an ice and fire, then maybe if the Night King does get to him and he puts him on the White Walker side... Maybe
ice
versus fire.
Because Daenerys would be the fire.
Fire, yeah.
So that's what I was going to get into. So everyone's like, "Oh, Jon's coming back. He's the chosen one." No one's buying in. There's a debate actually. No one's buying into Daenerys is like the chosen, like one of the prophecy.
Oh yeah, because it's from Dragonstone.
From Dragonstone, there was the ships were burning, the salt from the sea, and then
that's where she's from. So it could be
burning on fire,
under salt and smoke.
Yeah,
and then the same thing when she brought the dragons to life. And she brought wake dragons from stone. She turned rocks into dragons.
Yeah, so
the dragons were nothing but rocks when she got them. Like they just told her, they look cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of clues there, and it could be either way. I'm not sure if that theory will happen, but we'll put it this way.
Sorry to cut you off. I really like the theory that this, the mythical Azor Ahai is actually 3 people in one, and Aemon Targaryen very, very outrightly says the dragon has 3 heads, which I think is a nod to...
Also said, "Kill the boy, let the man be born."
Right,
which is also another sign of it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be... It's like almost 3 parts to the body. It's like the mind, like your heart, and then like your I guess your physical ability, however you want to describe that. That's probably not the best way to describe it. But anyway, I think the 3 living... To me, what I think, the 3 living Targaryens, they will all be the central factor in fighting the White Walkers and saving the realm in the end. That's what I think. So I think that all elements of the prophecy could be kind of connected to both Dany and Jon, and I don't think that's really done out of pure coincidence. I think it was intended to be like that.
Sure. Well. We're after midnight already. Geez, I know Gene's probably talking because he has work all day. But
Gene's giving me the hand like, no, I'm done.
That was
fuck you guys, I'm out.
Our very, very long podcast. We did a little sports, a little fun stuff at the end. We're joking the way through. I'll try to keep like that. Again, tweet at us any funny stuff you want us to cover, any sports stories. It's just a podcast, not a radio show. We can talk about whatever we want, and hopefully you guys keep listening. So follow us at DNS_podcast. Follow me at Edward L. Murphy on Twitter. Follow Joe at Joe_Calabrese92 on Twitter. You can follow Gene at Gene DeMayo, DEMAIO, or at NYGD Blue, because he has 2 of them. So you can follow us all there. Again, read our stuff. It'll be on YouTube and on the website. We're having a U.S. Open story coming out. I know Nick just wrote a season wrap-up on the Golden State Warriors, which will be good, like a 4,000-word piece to read that. I'm going to have stuff on, like I said, how to deal with the NHL offseason. I'm sure we'll get a bunch of stories coming in, too. Obviously, always follow Joe Carlin. Always does our stuff with the soccer and FIFA and all things like that, because that's going to have a lot of news coming out. So this podcast will be out tomorrow. Listen to it. We'll get a podcast in on the NBA draft coming up. The Knicks are picking 4, so definitely covering that. So we'll have them before June 25th, or probably the night of June 25th. So just that's going to be really exciting for us. It's our next biggest and last sports thing until fantasy football comes around. So, again, listen to all that. Thanks for listening to this one. I know it was extra long, but we'll keep doing these fun things. So any last words, guys?
No, Gene's ready to go to bed, so I'll say goodnight.
Donald Trump 2016.
There you go. That's it.
Boom.
We're getting political now. Fox News.
But he's not going to be DMX and Joe Pesci, though.
What DMX? Why is DMX with Joe Pesci? Why not do Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, 2016? Goodfellas, 2016.
This is when this is what happens when you podcast after midnight. So again, thanks for listening, and no better way to end than that.